Hi, everybody. Welcome to Free to Heal. Oh my God, I felt just like my granddaughter just then for a split second. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another week of Free to Heal, where we come together every week, formerly incarcerated, loved ones, children, all folks who have been affected by the criminal justice system. And what do we come together to do? We come together to try to heal the wounds and the ravages of what mass incarceration has done to all of us. There's so many things that and things that people can't anticipate all of the challenges that mass incarceration will cause. It's one thing you understand, okay, well, somebody went to prison and they were denied their freedom, but that's almost at some level the least of the issues. Because once the freedom is regained, there's so many challenges that come with that people don't understand and they're not able to articulate. So we're glad to be here tonight with everybody. And because I was given a topic and we've talked about a topic similar, but this one cuts a little bit deeper. Uh-oh. I'm already doing like this because I know everybody's going to do like this. Uh-oh. And y'all don't have me to thank for this. Y'all have Miss Diane to thank for this. I'm snitching up front. I ain't dry snitching. I'm telling y'all who did this to us and who did
That's
this.
why she looking all funny over there.
Right. No, she ain't at the peanut gallery. She ain't at the peanut gallery.
Put a flag on her. I told you, put a flag on her.
She's not in the peanut gallery because she has to go to them work. She has to work. And then people pay her. And since I can't pay her, she have to go work with the people. That means she can't be here physically. But I really don't like the people. The people that I don't like the people. But let me tell y'all what the topic is. Y'all ready for this? Self-forgiveness. As y'all know, forgiveness is a hell of a topic, right? Mm-hmm. People often think if I forgive, that means I'm telling them it's okay. No. But when you think about, when you get to the point of talking about forgiveness, people who are able to forgive some of the most horrendous things recognize that forgiving other people is a blessing to them so that they can be free in their lives. But this is something that I actually saw this and I said, I want everybody to listen to this and ask yourself, for those things in your life that you needed to or need to forgive yourself for. Listen, have you done this for you? You may have done this for somebody else, but it took me a long time to understand what it means to forgive someone. Now, this someone I'm asking you is, have you done this for yourself? I always wondered how I could forgive someone who chose to hurt me. But after a lot of soul searching, I realized forgiveness is not about accepting or excusing their behavior. It's about letting it go and preventing their behavior from destroying my heart. It is not about, it's about letting it go and preventing their behavior from destroying my heart. So I'm asking you, when you think about yourself, have you done that for yourself? Have you actually forgiven yourself for your behavior? Have you accepted whatever your behavior was and then allowed yourself to say, you know what, maybe I didn't know, maybe I was whatever, but I extend the same kind of mercy and grace that we're talking about for other people. Have we done that for ourselves? And the reason I know it's such a powerful lesson is I was the person it was hardest for me to forgive in my circumstances, because I couldn't understand how did I subject myself to all of those things. And I really had to work on that. So in as much, Ms. Di, as this was yours, I'm going to ask you to unmute and see where the conversation came from for you.
Okay, the conversation for myself personally came from a lot of different situations. Once when I got married, my father didn't give me away at my wedding. That was really big for me for a long time. But I had to come to forgive him and forgive myself for whatever he was going through with his life. Then once when I found out about the marriage that I've been in all this time. I was married to a narcissist. I had to forgive myself for putting myself through what I put myself through, you know what I'm saying, for a long time. And I had to accept that. Not being mad at him, but being more mad at myself, because you know, you have women have intuition, you know things, but it just wasn't fitting at the same time, you know. So I had to forgive myself for that. That's what I had to do.
Yeah. And it's the hardest thing to do.
It was very hard because I didn't understand what was really going on. I had to put the pieces to the puzzle together. I had certain pieces, but some pieces was really big. But them little bitty pieces, I had to start putting them together. And I'm like, okay, all right, now I'm figuring it all out. Now the puzzle became a picture. Now I can see. Mm-hmm. That's what I had to do.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna pose the question to everybody on the things that you really feel like you needed to forgive yourself. Have you extended that kind of grace and mercy to yourself?
No.
Okay, come on.
Yeah, I'd like to say something on that subject because we talk about it. You know, our favorite word last week, pride, selfishness. We'll forgive other people, but we won't forgive ourselves because we're prideful, we're selfish. And I'm doing this anger management course, and that's one of the things that comes up, that not to be angry at other people for whatever reason, because they don't know, they were taught a certain way. But yet when it comes to us, we have a higher standard not to forgive, and we're being selfish and prideful for that.
And you know, it is something, because that is the thing. It's like we think we hold ourselves to the standard so high, but we should have known better. We should have.
That's why I call it selfish.
Yep, and that pride. It's like somehow we think that we should never have allowed ourselves to fall into those things, or we should never have allowed anyone to do those things, or certainly we like to think that we would have functioned in the situation a lot better than what we have, you know. And so it gets difficult, because another thing that I found for myself in the hardest time was acknowledging just the fact that I participated. For me, that was the hard thing. It was like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? Because then it caused me to step on my pride, or push my pride aside, Patrick, and admit.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Your participation. Sometimes just being someplace and not participating where you could have done something because of pride, because of selfishness, or you see somebody else stepping in. Well, why don't you go help them? You know, why don't you say a few kind words? A lot of times we won't say kind words to people, or we won't say kind words to ourselves, or yeah, and you know, you say it, hey, I screwed up. Right. Next time I'll have to do better. We're human beings. We're supposed to learn from our mistakes. And unfortunately, we learn a whole lot better and remember a whole lot better when we screw up.
Yeah. Yeah. Terrell, I see your hand.
No, I just wanted to actually add to that. What he was saying is the fact that we had to forgive ourselves first for all of the crazy shit we done in life while we was in prison, and to be forgiven by the Creator to have another shot, and then also have to live with all of that grief, because it's not hard when you didn't cause a lot of ruckus and you can literally see the ripple effect that you cause of some of your actions, and the hurt and the pain that you cause with some of the people from the ripple effect. So forgiving yourself is one thing as well, when you know that you've been out here causing a lot of ruckus and, you know, fucking up people's lives. And I'm so glad
you raised your hand, because I was going to actually come to you next, because I think we've had brief conversations about this in previous sessions that we talked about it. But when you talk about the effects, because I've heard you say multiple times, when your children come at you, you got to just listen. You got to take it. And so as a father who was absent from his children for that period of time, can you just expound, just for anybody who may not have heard your take on that particular situation, how do you deal with that knowing that there were things that happened with them while you were gone that caused pain?
Well, I'm saying like this. For everybody that got grown children on here, when they get to talking crazy and get to venting and saying you ain't shit or you ain't nothing to them or you dead, you ain't did shit for them, you got to take that shit because you the one who went to jail, not them. And you don't know what they endured while you was gone. And it doesn't make it right that they might come at you or spew out at you, but it's nothing but the pain and suffering and hurt that they went through that's actually surfacing out. So it's not to take it in a negative light, but to also help you understand that your child was hurting and suffering while you was in prison from whatever it was, from you not being there for sure, and then whatever happened to them that they feel that you could have maybe prevented if you was there to secure them.
This is what I want you to help me know. This is what I need you to help me with. How did you, in those conversations, forgive yourself for the things that they were saying? In other words, they dumping things on your plate, telling you whatever they telling you, right? And it can't feel good coming at you. So how do you get up to be able to forgive yourself to deal with all of that?
Well, I know the first thing I do is just shut up. I shut up and listen to them and hear them out because it's no rebuttal. I can't rebuttal anything that they say. Whatever they went through it. And I don't know what have happened if I've been there. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I wasn't there, I got to take it. And the fact that they're venting to me it's the point of them releasing it and actually trying to heal from the situation. And then also bringing to my attention how they were hurt, give it to me so that I could actually heal too, because I know, it hurt me just as well. But to hear some of the things that my kids have been through, my grown kids, because, they really expressive about, things they've been through and why they are the way they are now because of my lack of presence and being in prison. So I got to sit there and take that. My daughters are the way they are because I wasn't there, and they give it to me hard when they do. And I tell my kids, talk to me like I'm a dude in the street, because I respect their individuality, and I always tell them to be individuals. I respect that, and the fact is like, I don't want nobody sugarcoating they hurt, they pain, and they suffering. Give it to me raw. That way I can take it. I'm just, I'm boom, 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 boom. But at the same time, it's coming out of them. And they're releasing that pain. And that's when they can start to heal. And we can start to heal. Because now I get it. I hear it. I feel it. Now I can try to mesh with it. I can't change it, but I can comfort them now and let them know I'm accepting of whatever pain that they're pushing out on me because I'm the reason for it. Mm-hmm. I'm the reason, just like I'm the reason for they here. I'm the reason that they going through this pain for me going to prison and being out of their life for a decade or whatever the situation may be, or 2 decades. Right. So you got to take it. You got to take it. You can't rebuttal. You can't get mad, start yelling back. Just take it. Shut the fuck up and take it. Take your ass whooping. Take them long tongue lashes and keep it pushing. But that's a part of healing. Yeah. It's definitely a part of healing that they need to express because they haven't had you in their life to even talk about this. And trust and believe me, it's some stories that your kids have been through that you'll be like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, wow, that really happened? Like, damn, you went through that? It's like, so there's some stories that they're going to have that's going to probably be like, if they ever come to that point to where they're expressing it to you, to where it's going to be like, damn, you're going to be sitting in your mind like, damn, okay. I apologize for not being there. I'm here now. I can't change the past, but I apologize. And that's the best you could do. Uh-huh. Just be empathetic, sympathetic, and apologetic for you not being there because there's nothing you can do about it, but they come in clean with you. So you got to come clean back with them and respect the fact that they are giving it to you raw so that you can build that bond. because that's all it is understanding.
And the thing that's important about what you said is the fact that you're just being honest and you're accepting. In other words, you're not trying to gaslight them and make them feel like what they're saying isn't valid. You're giving them the full acknowledgement of understanding that what they're telling you actually happened. It really affected them. Something you did affected their lives, and it helps. And to me, as we were talking last week, I think it was, and I was saying how me being able to say simple things like I was wrong and I don't know, those things make it easier. And I'm sorry or I apologize. Those being able to say that takes a lot of pressure off. It takes a lot of because then you don't have to try to justify anything. It just is what it is, and then people can move on. You can't move on from hurt if you're not in a position to be willing to acknowledge it. Everybody's got to acknowledge and come to the same set of facts. This ink pen is red. It's not blue. If we can at least deal with that, once we get there, then whether the top should be on the bottom or on here, whether I should throw it to the side when I use it or whatever but at least we dealing with the same facts. If I have a notion in my head that this is what happened and that's not really true, or if I believe it's this way and you're telling me and I watched you, it's like, think about that song when the man said, wasn't me. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. Yeah, right. Shabba Ranks, is that who that is?
No, Shaggy. That was Shaggy.
Shaggy, right? Shaggy. So it wasn't me. Okay. Caught me red-handed. Okay. But I just told her it wasn't me. Okay. Now listen, as long as you're doing that, nobody can heal. Because you're trying to tell me I didn't see what I saw. And I know I saw it. And even if it's not that blatant, the song obviously was blatant, right? Blatant behavior. He caught them on the floor banging. She, you know what I'm saying? We was both okay. Ain't no other way to get around what she just saw. But when it's not that blatant, when it's subtle, it's very difficult to heal when you got somebody not really willing to admit that what actually happened, that the pen is really red. Right? I can't heal as long as you're trying to tell me that this is purple. No, I'm looking at it.
It's red. It's red.
It's red. I'm sorry, right?
And I think it brings healing to both parties. You know, of course, I'm going to speak from the child's perspective. The gaslighting piece of it can be sometimes even more painful than the whole process of it itself. But when you accept, you know, and say to the child, okay, I understand what you're saying, you know, and I'm sorry, then it's, you know, it's like it gets really quiet because that child can exhale. And then I think the conversations now need to be, okay, so, you know, how do we move forward? Because from the child's perspective, the child also has to understand that you as a parent, no matter what you did, even if it wasn't your fault, that wasn't what you were planning out to do. So the circumstances that happen with that, you have two hurt people, and the hurt people who hurt people process is happening. When you say, okay, I hear you, I'm gonna let you say, you know, I'm gonna let you have the floor. Now, what do we do to start the process to move forward? Because at some point in time, I feel like you as a parent need to purge some of the things that also happened to you to get you to the place where you did make that mistake that took you away. For me, in listening to what Terrell said, where he started is not where he is. So where you started is not where you are 20 years ago, 30 years ago. If you had the knowledge today, back then, you most likely would not have made the same mistakes. And so you owe it to your child to explain some of the things that got you to that place. But after you allow them the ability to purge their feelings, then you as a parent should get that opportunity to say, how do we move forward? And then let me begin to break some things down for you, because my mother breaking stuff down for me, I was like, what the fuck? Like, damn, like, you went where? What happened? This happened. I mean, the book doesn't even speak to everything that happened. And I was just sitting there like head spinning, tail spinning, thinking, I'm holding all this anger and I'm pissed off. When I finally get her to sit down to listen to me, I also have to realize and recognize she too is a person who has had her own experiences of hurt. Maybe not just in that prison cell, but what led her to it.
Right.
And so there's two different avenues that have to be pursued, but you as a parent have to reverse those roles and allow that child to have that conversation so that you can move forward.
And what's so powerful about that is there are two people. So now, even when you had the conversations with your mom and you realized there were things that she went through that you had no idea, that you never gave her grace and mercy. You didn't extend those things. So now you need to forgive yourself for the things that you didn't forgive her for. You see, like you see what I'm saying? It's like so that we all can heal, right? This is about forgiving ourselves. It's a lot to process, and everybody has this to process. So for me,
in each relationship, not
yes,
to cut you off, but
yes,
in each relationship,
yes.
Because if you have multiple children, the relationship with one child is absolutely different than the relationship with the next child. And as a parent, you're constantly trying to compare and saying, well, why the fuck are you over here? And why is he there? Or why is she there? It has nothing to do. They all from the citrus family. One's an orange,
right?
One's a lemon,
tangerine,
one's a lime, one's a grapefruit,
right?
One's a cassava melon or whatever,
right?
But they all come from the same stem. They all come from you, but they all have different experiences of different times at different periods, and they got different people. They all got the same parent, but they got a different version of that parent for every experience that they had. And so you have to compartmentalize each relationship with each child or sibling,
yes,
whomever it is that you need to build to break those barriers down with. But with your children, each child has a different experience, and it's a different conversation with each one of them, and a different path to righteousness. Some are going to take you a year, some are going to take you 5, some are going to take you 15 and 20. It just depends on the relationship with the individual and how much you tackle in that process.
And what starts with that is this: you gotta be okay with the poor choices. In other words, you gotta have acknowledged that for yourself, right? The poor choices that you made, and be whole enough with those poor choices and acknowledging them enough so that you can, in fact, have those conversations. You cannot sit down with your children, with your sibling, anybody. You cannot do that if you're still insecure about the situation, or you're still
in denial.
Yeah, in denial about your part in it, because all that's going to do is pour salt into the wound, because you're going to still be holding on, Patrick, to your pride. Right? You still hold on to it, and I'll come right to you. You're going to be holding on to your pride, and what that does is it becomes a barrier to actual healing and help, right? So even when we find out that we have been mistaken, or like you're talking about, Tony, there was information you just didn't have. It wasn't even that you was mistaken about what happened. You saw what you saw. You experienced what you experienced. You just didn't have all the information. All you had was what was right in front of you, right? Your experience. You didn't even know your mama was a person before you was born. You see what I'm saying? You didn't have no idea who that was. So you judged her in a way that was only through your lens without giving her the benefit of being a whole person and having experienced other things. So when it comes down to it, in order for you to have these conversations and to be able to move forward and even propose a way forward, you got to be willing to be okay with yourself and come out of denial and put that ego to the side. Otherwise, it is more likely than not that it's going to rear its head in that conversation. Right? James wanted to say something.
Well, I have 7 children, 10 grandchildren. And when I came home in 2020, I had to make an appointment with my children because their lives, they're adults. So I had to respect their space first.
We could barely hear him.
I was like, we can't hear you.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
now?
There you go.
Yes.
Okay. I had 7 children and 10 grandchildren. So my children are all grown. I had to make appointments with my children because I'm coming in their space. I'm taking their time, which is valuable. And what I did was each one of them, I gave them the opportunity to be vocal, open, and as honest as they can be. And I sat there and I listened and I was being transparent. I had to be honest. I had to be forthright and I had to explain everything. It wasn't no shortcuts to this. This is life. This is dealing with your seed coming up that missed you. Mine's missed me for 26 and a half years. And we're not gonna say how many years before that because I was in the street.
Right.
I was gang banging, dope slanging. I was doing everything in and out of states and doing what I was doing. But the thing was, they missed their hero, their father. I was a father, I wasn't a dad. And it's 2 different things to that. I perpetuated something that my father did to me and his father did to him.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came to them, each one of them, one at a time, and actually took them out. We didn't go out to a lunch because that's too confusing. We went out somewhere and just sat and talked, and I let them speak. They had to open forum. I didn't care if they cussed me out. This was their way to express how they felt. And then after we had like 2 or 3 dates where they got it out, and we got things, then we started the healing process where the apologies come in. And that's where the understanding that as a father, as a dad, I hurt. Your feelings is more valid than my feelings at this present time.
Because you was the adult.
Because I was the adult. And then I brought all my kids together because sometimes children, even as adults, will feel like they can't talk to you by themselves. But if they have a sibling that they can lean on and actually run with to be able to, because they've been talking while you've been in jail. So they come together and now they can give you the what they feel, which is an open forum for the family to work on a dynamic.
And you know what? That feeds right back into what Tony was saying a minute ago about each child is different, right? Each child is different. And so their experience with your incarceration or your absence and how that happened and what happened to them during that period of time, all of that is going to change the conversations. And so it's positive to bring everybody back together again, because sometimes, often, people have a perspective and it may not be as accurate as they think it is, right? So sometimes if we were all there in the room together, and for example, we were all in the room today when this one here, when we learned from Oscar that pneumonia is an infection, but it doesn't in your lungs. It doesn't matter that he was out in the rain. Well, guess what? From my perspective, it doesn't matter. If he is sick and he dies, we're going to hurt him. How about that? So now, that was just the perspective. But we were all in the room together. Now, he may walk away thinking he was exonerated from being outside in the rain, knowing he had pneumonia. And all of us know that didn't happen. It just didn't happen. But we were all in the room at the same time. So sometimes when they could say, no, well, I was there and I didn't pick that up like that. I didn't feel that when they said that. That didn't, well, when grandma did this, I didn't perceive it that way. Or that is not how I remember that. Because oftentimes we tell ourselves stories about what this was. We remember things in a way that our brains can process it. I was in a situation recently, a young lady, one lady hit the young lady and she said, and she tells me, I never got a chance to hit her back. I never touched her. This is what she's telling the police. And when I tell you she got tears down her eyes, she is shaking, she is all in it. But guess what? I didn't see it, but the other dude, he told me, oh no, she was clocking her. She was winning the fight, but she don't even remember being in the fight. But the person who was there watching it and went to go break it up, he said, oh, no. She was getting the best of that girl. So again, they were all in there in the same circumstance, but somebody saw it differently, right? Mm-hmm. So from her, she felt victimized because she didn't feel like nobody came to her rescue except this one person, when in reality, unfortunately, a lot of times if you're in a situation in the hood and the folks know that this person deserve a butt whooping and they getting it and they ain't gonna stop it, right? Let you go ahead and get your stuff off, right? Now, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's the truth of the matter. So you feel like they abandoned you, but they might have been saying, go on and get your shit off because she deserved that ass whooping. Let her go on and have it, right? And then the other guy, he don't know, so he's stepping to stop the fight. So I'm just saying there are times when the perspective, and you need other people who were there who can say to another sibling, well, no, that didn't exactly happen like that. What that allows is for the truth to come, the fact that this is really a red pen. It's not purple. It's not orange. It's red. Okay. And so now we can deal with that and we can move on. But the key to all of this discussion is for us to be able to first acknowledge those things that we've done that we feel may have created harm. And those things help us to heal. We got to be able to forgive us first so that we can move forward. We got to stop beating ourselves up about those things that we participated in. But the way to do that is to understand why we participated in it. The same way Brian Stevenson raises the question, not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you. We need to be raising that question for ourselves. Not what's wrong with you, Noreen. Why would you allow that man to do this way and do that? Well, what happened to you in your childhood that made that okay with you? What did you see? What did you experience? What happened around you that would allow you to accept less than stellar treatment? Well, there were some things with my dad, right? And I always felt like with my dad, I had to do all the work in the relationship. Well, if I didn't do the work, he wasn't going to be there. Now, that wasn't true. You know what I'm saying? It really wasn't true, but that's how I felt as a kid. This is my child brain processing this in the relationship with my father. And it carried to the day he died, literally to the day he died in 2013. I still felt like I was required to maintain that relationship with him. And that if I didn't, that we wouldn't have it. And that was unacceptable to me. So I tolerated whatever was going on with him. If I called him today and he wasn't in the mood or whatever, or he was short with me, I just took that. Well, that's one thing with your dad. But when you're in a relationship with a man, that can't work like that, because then nobody's taking care of me. But I had to forgive myself for participating. And then I could heal from those things. I couldn't do that unless I was willing to acknowledge that there was some things that I was doing that wasn't right. And then again, extend to myself the forgiveness. And what is that thing saying? Accepting, not excusing my behavior, but understanding what that was. Letting it go so I can prevent myself from doing this to myself in the future. Right? These are the things that become important. We need to do these things for ourselves. The things we're willing to extend to other people is fine, but we got to extend it to ourselves so that we might heal from this. Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, I've got a comment. It's not well, like we were talking about denial and not accepting what we did. You don't have to accept it. You just have to, keyword, acknowledge that something happened. Whether you did something because you were stupid or you didn't understand, your pride's in the way, you're being selfish. Okay, you did something wrong. You may agree with it, you may not agree with it, but acknowledge that something happened. And
Yes.
if you acknowledge that something happened, then guess what? You're there.
Yeah.
Then you can forgive yourself, then you can forgive others. And like you said, when you've got a room full of people and they all see something happen, guess what? You've got a room full of people that saw something different or heard something different, but yet you were all there together. So the fact that you said people were in the situation and didn't see or hear what you thought you did or didn't do. And like you said, we're in prison 20 years or 30 years. People are out on the streets wondering, where's daddy? Where's mommy? They're putting their own memories together, and then those memories become what happened. Well, guess what? That may not be what happened.
Necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so, right? Mr.
Yeah.
Stephens.
Yes, Ms. Lorraine, I'm so glad we talked about this subject. You know, the great barrier, I think I mentioned it, was pride. You know, for the first 6 years of my incarceration, I never
Do me a
did.
favor, put your camera down a little bit because we only see the top of your head. There you go. Thank you.
And my first 6 years of incarceration, I never thought about forgiving myself, you know, coming up in an environment where everything was just taken away, the emotions, the feelings, the thoughts. And then regaining another 30 years of incarceration, making it 36 years, I didn't know how to forgive myself for the things that I'd done to myself. Then it took another 20 years of learning the things that was going on the inside and how to process that and how to feel about that and how to grow emotions and thoughts about the way that I felt for the things I did to myself. Today, I have a great deal of understanding. I have a great thought process pattern. I have feelings and emotions. I have love in my bosom. And I'm just dying to experience of sharing that with someone.
That's wonderful. You know, to understand it and have a place to express that and you know, to bring this conversation together is that's why when Diane mentioned the topic, I thought, you know, it's really a good topic because it's much more intricate than just forgiveness in general, right? Because what I found is trying to acknowledge for myself those things that I needed to forgive myself for. That took a courage just to admit it, just to me. Like some things, like just to say it out loud is like, ooh, that was horrible, Noreen, that you did that, you know, or you allowed that to happen, or you participated in those things. But once I was able to do that for me, then it allowed me, it's easier to say it to you, to say to you, okay, well, this is what I did, you know. Once I do that, then it's much easier. It's very hard when you are not willing to acknowledge to yourself those things that you did. And you begin to spend a lot of time trying to cover that up because we will fight ourselves to hold on to something, even if it's not true, if it is something that we have accepted as a part of ourselves, right? If we have accepted this as who I am, or we have allowed it to become a part of our identity, we will hold on to that and we'll fight you, even if we find out that it's not true. People do it all the time. There's something about it psychologically that people do that because once it's become a part of their identity, they don't want to let it go, even if it's not healthy or useful. So it's a big deal to be able to forgive ourselves so that not only when we talk about forgiveness for other people, let them so you can go free, but the reality is too, if we can let it go so everybody else around us can get a chance to be free too. Because Terrell, you can't even have the kind of conversations you and James are talking about if you're not prepared to be honest and accept those harsh words from your children. You can't even have that unless you have accepted something I did cause harm, right? And if you can't even accept that, there's no sense in stepping into the ring with grown kids or anybody else and giving them an opportunity to have a conversation with you, because all it's going to do is make matters worse. So until you have acknowledged yourself for yourself, what it is, and then giving yourself the mercy and the grace to say, but what produced that? Like when you talk about what happened to your mom before, you didn't know any of the things that happened to her. When you talk of, you've said multiple times about different things that you learned, and you're like, but Mom, why didn't you tell me those things? And she would say, when I was incarcerated, I wasn't trying to have those kind of conversations with you. The little bit of time as being those people on the outside, right? When we have conversations with you guys, we're trying everything to have good conversation. We're not trying to get into the mundane and the degradation and the hurt and pain and all of the problems, because we only got, in most cases, 15 minutes on the phone.
15
and then
minutes.
A visit is as long as the visiting people say we can stay.
Right.
And that could be cut short at any minute.
Right.
You know?
My mother has often said she did not want, not to come up,
Uh-huh.
that, I asked her about some conditions in prison and some things that I found out that women went through. And I was like, why, how come you didn't say anything to me? And she said, because you was already pissed off coming to visit me. So I wanted to do everything that I could to make that visit as pleasant as possible for you, because I knew, you were already angry. And so getting you to come was the hardest thing. For me to sit there and complain about conditions, but what you come to understand and learn, especially as an adult, is those are mothering things. Those are, if I was coming home from tennis and I fell and skint up my knee and went crying to my mom's not going to tell me about the bad day or horrible day she had at work. She's going to try to comfort me, because that's what I'm going to try to do for my kids.
Right.
And so it's a mothering moment, but I had to learn how to understand that as a child. As an adult, understanding the feelings that I had as a child, but understanding it because I too became that parent. She was trying to do her best to mother, to have some sense of mothering. And she knew at the time I was old. So she knew I was too old to be trying to chastise me, be trying to tell me what to do. And all she was trying to do was get that visit and make the best or the most of that visit.
And in that moment, that's all that anybody's trying to do, and that's usually on both sides of the fence, right? Like we learned in our conversation about fear, that the one fear that was common for everybody, whether it was somebody who was incarcerated or a loved one, was the fear of the person who was incarcerated going back to prison. That's a fear we all have, and it causes each of us to behave in a particular way but it's a common thing. And so when you get this opportunity to have these kinds of conversations and things, and to learn how to move forward, it's a blessing. It's a true blessing, because a lot of people don't understand it. What I'm going to do is I want
to add something to it before you
please go right ahead.
And this is just one thing that, understand this. Let the child, whether they be a teenager or adult, let them express themselves. Don't even bother jumping in. Don't make it about you. Let them express themselves. And then you ask for permission to talk about what you went through. Because at that point, while they talking, everything you saying is an excuse. They don't even give a fuck. Excuse my language, but they don't even care. They want to get out what they want to get out towards you. So you got to acknowledge them first, and then allow them to talk about you and what you went through. Because they don't know. They don't know what prison's like. They don't know what you went through. They don't know the suffering, the pain, none of that. All they know is what they went through, and they trying to get that off and get that out to you. So you got to listen until they tired of talking or through talking, and then ask them for permission, because they might not want to hear your shit because they feel like your shit is an excuse. You know what I mean? So you
Oftentimes
gotta
that's what
give them,
happens.
you
They
have
think
to
you're making
give them,
excuses and you're
no, but
not
you
really
have to
accepting
give,
responsibility.
no, the thing about it is this. I don't care what happened to you while you went to jail. This would happen to me right here
As
while
a
you was
result.
gone. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you here right now in my face, but this would happen when you was gone. And whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop. They don't care about what happened to you in prison. You here now. So whatever happened to you, you got through it and you here now. They want to talk about and circumvent what they went through. So you have to let them get that off their chest, period. And when they done talking, you done? Can I speak? Can I speak my piece? You got to be humble and you got to be respectful for them because they want to, it's about them. You can't make it about you because it had been about you not being there. Now that you're here, you can't make it about you here while you wasn't here because it's like, no, this is what I went through when you was gone, Dad. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you what happened to me because I want you to know, I want you to feel it because they don't know how much we hurt when we gone. It don't even come across their mind. My dad is hurt because he in prison and he ain't with me. They thinking about the messed up shit that they going through or went through, or you not being there to secure them or protect them or teach them the things that they might need to know from a man who's not trying to screw them or trying to hurt them, which is their father.
And
You know what I mean?
the fact that I'm going to the father-daughter dance and now I gotta explain why my daddy ain't here, why I don't have
All of that, stuff.
all
The
those little
absences,
things.
the
Yes.
absence of you not being there.
And how do I explain that? And the hurt every time they have to go explain that again. But again, as parents, for this particular topic, how do you forgive yourself for those things? And also the importance of you forgiving yourself for that hurt that you caused in order to heal the whole family. That's what I want everybody to understand. It's very important that we realize that everybody has to heal. Everybody has a right to heal. Everybody, because we all been through something, and you can't minimize. Just the same as like children should understand. Listen, as much as you need to get your piece off, at some point they should afford their parents. It will be helpful for them to afford their parents the opportunity to express some things so that they can learn, so that they can get the full context of what happened. Oftentimes, it's so often that people just they don't understand the full context. They know they're part of it, but that's it.
And not only that, but you got to understand when a person is venting to you like that, they coming from emotions.
Yeah.
So they're not thinking logically and rationally. They coming straight from emotions. So let them speak. Let them vent. You know what I mean? Because it might not make sense to you, but it make perfectly good sense to them.
Perfectly good sense.
Healing them. It's
Absolutely.
healing them. They're having an opportunity to get it out on the perpetrator for the reason they feel this happened to them. And you are that person. So you have to take accountability, acknowledge it, and be humble with it. You know what I mean? Because this is what they've been through, and you're trying to get back in their life. They done moved on. You done been gone how many 10 years? Their life never stopped. Right. They have to grow, had kids without you.
Anyway,
Grandpa ain't there.
Without
don't
you.
know if he's gonna ever be here. But now that you're here, all that's past. So you just got to give it time and be willing to be humble about the situation and be super patient because that's your child. And if you want to have a relationship with them, you have to have the understanding because they weren't out here taking self-help classes and all that other stuff. And they didn't have to, they ain't digging out what they've been through and being able to reflect it because they've been living life. Some of these people out here in the world don't even reflect back on the last week, last month, let alone years. You see what I'm saying? We in prison, we think about the last thing that happened and everything that happened prior to that when it comes to the street, because we remember it like it was yesterday. And some things we don't even have a clue about. We be like, well, I did that. Oh, shit. But people in the world now, oh, you here now. I'm finna give it to you now. So just take it,
that you have it,
process it, you know what I mean? Learn from it. Because that's what I do. And that's how I try to help other people understand it as well. Because if you want to heal it, you're gonna have to take it.
And one of the things too, Patrick dropped off, but one of the things I found is that in the process of having to forgive myself for things, it did something that you mentioned several times. It humbled me. It humbled me because it let me know. First of all, you got to admit you did something. That
Acknowledgement.
The acknowledgement of it, right?
Acknowledgement
Acknowledge
first.
that, right? Then that's something different. So you gotta, so it causes you to have to be humble at that point. You see what I'm saying? Because now you realize, well, even if you thought you was the greatest thing since sliced bread, 7-Up, well, maybe you wasn't. You see what I'm saying? Or maybe you was, but you was also some other stuff too. You see what I'm saying? Maybe you know what I'm saying? Maybe you had a little shit up under that piece of bread too. You know what I'm saying? So when you recognize that, it absolutely makes you humble. Rufus, any last comments?
I'm sitting here.
You froze.
Missed this group for 2 weeks. It's
Huh?
crazy because you hear me?
No, you froze for a split second.
I said I'm sitting here wondering. I'm listening to everybody, and I'm sitting here wondering how did I miss this group for 2 weeks? It's like there's some beautiful minds right here, and it's just crazy that they're not crazy, but it's a nice group. This is wonderful, and I don't know how. I mean, it keeps me mindful. You know what I mean? And everything that Terrell, what you saying, it's like you speaking my truth in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? And unfortunate. Well, I wouldn't say unfortunate, but my daughter and my son, I was prepared for all that. But I feel like they cheated me out of that because they were so understanding. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'd rather them give it to me so I can know what you felt and what you've been through. And and I'm prepared. I'm prepared to be humble, to listen, to apologize, to tell you, just to be so understanding. But they beat me to that and like that. Look, we ain't, but I still want to go there. But for whatever reason,
He said, I want to go there. He want to go
they
there.
won't let me.
Hey, listen, Rufus,
yeah.
they have understanding and overstanding for you, but
Yeah.
that does not mean you will not have your moment when it festers up.
I'm ready for it.
They want to they took it easy on you because they said, hey, Pops, you don't deserve it. We ain't going to beat you up fresh out. We want you to make it. We don't want to pull you down and make you feel low, but it'll come out later. But the fact is that they have an overstanding of, we don't want to hurt Dad no more. Dad is home. Whatever happened in the past, come on, Dad, let's get it together. I'm with you. I'll beat you up later. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so just
okay.
know that it could be,
Right.
it can happen in different points and times, but it's a good thing that it hasn't happened, but it's a good thing that those great humans have understanding and overstanding and empathy for you and your situation. And they love you enough not to want to tear you down fresh on the street. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and this is your first time. See, I done had twice. I done been home twice. So the second time, I got it. They gave it to me cold.
They let you have it.
They growing down. They got kids and all
Right.
that. So I got it hard, but that's a good thing, brother. You know what I'm saying? But just embrace the love and the fact that they do have that overstanding and understanding of not wanting to hurt you. But when it come out, it'll come out.
One more thing I want to say. One more thing I want to say as far as forgiving myself. I forgave myself once I understood my story. You know what I mean? Once I had to go and go all the way to my humble beginnings and understand how I got to be the person that I was, and that I forgave myself for the hurt that I caused other people, because I see how I got to that place. But I still would like people to forgive me for the hurt I caused them, but I have forgiven myself for that reason.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad, from the time you started coming in the group, I've always appreciated your sensibilities. You've always had a good perspective in terms, and I think what it is your understanding of who you are. that has always been, you know, I picked that up from day one. Like, oh no, he has a pretty good sense of who he is. And that is really where the key is. That is really the key
Right.
to the issue,
Right.
understanding you. Because see, you can't control nothing but you. And then once you understand who you are and the mistakes you made, the good choices you made, the, you know, the ones in the middle and all of that, then it you know, you could be healthy. And so I really, really, really appreciate your perspective. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Otis.
Hi, Noreen. Yeah, I agree about everything you guys are saying. Before I could forgive myself, I had to forgive others. But to help others, you have to listen to what they went through. And so you know, like my brother told me, he says, well, you should have been a bigger brother and helped us out. You should have never went to prison and you deserted us and all this other stuff. And I said, well, you know, I did wrong. I broke the law. I wasn't there for you, and I'm sorry for it. Now I'm here for you, and I want to be your brother, your best brother, and help you out if you want. But you got to give up the alcohol and the drugs and all this other stuff before I can associate with you, because I'm an addict, and I can't associate with anybody like that. And he said, all right, well, let me talk to you about 6 months from today. And I said, okay, that's a good thing to do. So he's in AA in Oregon. So I'm hoping he'll be a good person when he gets done with all that.
And it's awesome that you understand your boundaries. You understand your limitations. You can't engage with him if he's not prepared to do those things, right? Because you know, as an addict, you can't control that. You know, that's higher than, you know what I'm saying? You need something bigger than you to deal with that. And you can't subject yourself to it, because otherwise you may fall back into that kind of stuff. You just can't be around those things. But the fact that you understand it and you've been able to forgive yourself for those things you didn't do. And I love the idea of, honestly, realizing what happened to me that caused me to do these hurtful things. That whole thing is really, really, really important. And so that's totally awesome. So thank you for that. Oscar, you want to unmute for us, Oscar, and give us your comments, your thoughts?
No, my comment is, like everything you just say, it's about take responsibility, be humble person. We have to forgive ourselves first. You know, I remember I went to a group they call Ripple Effect. When the person asking me, do you forgive your victim or do you forgive yourself? I say, no, I cannot forgive, because he told me, I told the guy, you know why it's hard for me to forgive people, you know? And he told me, you know why? I said, I don't know why. It's because you took pride. I said, I'm not pride. I was in denial. I'm not pride. Yeah, you are a really pride person. He told me, I was almost arguing with you. I said, how you know I'm pride? You not live with me. He said, because you need to admit it, accept responsibility, what you did to the victim, to the people you hurt. You know what you have to do? I say, what I have to do? Need to do inventory yourself. Who hurt you and how many people hurt you? And maybe that got to work with you. And maybe you got to be a little bit humble person. Well, I started to do my inventory about my life. Starting work. You know, after you do your inventory, you have to write it down later and ask for forgiveness. Only that way you got to be a humble person. Yeah, I did all job that he told me to do it. Yeah, I found out like, yeah, I was a pride person. It was hard for me to forgive people. But what's easy for me when I ask for forgiveness, I would say, why you don't forgive me? What I did to you, I'm sorry. But people not want to forgive me.
You didn't even know. You didn't even know your arrogance was in the way. You didn't even know you was arrogant. You didn't even know it. That's the cold part. And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, he was right. I am prideful, and it is my pride that is offended, that I need to forget. What? And it's crazy because you really don't think about it in that way. You would not think the two had anything to do with each other, but they do. They do. And so that is a revelation. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Me thinking, for example, that I could handle an open relationship with somebody that I really wanted to be married to. No, you can't. No, you can't. Because you really want to be with him. You don't want an open relationship. Why you try? but I was young. I thought I could do it, but it was pride that told me, "Oh, I can handle it." No, the hell you can't. That's why your ass over here like this.
Not about to play with you over here.
Oh my God! Well, Miss Di, that's what I was doing. Thinking the insane asylum might be a better option than all the pain.
No, never.
Okay,
Never.
that's what I thought. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but you gotta. It really does humble you when you start to look at yourself and you forgive yourself. It'll humble you. Absolutely, Mr. Hall. Your comment, sir.
Waiting on Mr. Hall. He been over there waiting.
No.
He died to comment right now.
No, I mean, you guys covered like everything. And Terrell, your stuff was very good because even if you didn't go to prison and you have kids, you're supposed to listen to them. Like, for me, that's the most important thing you can do for your kids is to really listen to them, because they telling you something when they talking to you.
Yes,
you just got to hear them.
Yep.
And but like I said, this was a very good topic. Noreen, you've been having good topics every week, but this one was very good.
Well,
for me.
Credit Miss Di with this one, baby.
Oh, okay, Miss Di, very good topic. For
Thank
me,
you.
this something that I had to learn to do is forgive myself. And when I was able to do that, that allowed me to be free, like you talk about, Noreen, because when you ain't forgiving yourself, you don't even know that you did stuff to yourself. But once you get to that point where you realize all the harm that you did to yourself and you're able to forgive yourself, that opened up the door. You're able to move forward and you're able to forgive other people. Yeah. And you're able to empathize with other people. You know what I'm saying? You're able to see that you might see somebody doing some crazy stuff and you're able to like empathize with them as far as, well, I used to be doing crazy stuff.
You know why?
So I can't just jump
happen.
to the exactly. So let me have a little patience with this person. Let me listen to this person. Let me see what this person been through before I start judging this person. So yeah, this is it's just a good topic.
Wonderful. And Rufus, there's a gentleman behind you, and I think he's been in the group all evening. And I want to know if he had any comments.
Yeah, he has been.
Oh, I just got back I just came back, but yeah, I think the group was very interesting, and it opened my eyes because me and my son he's 38 years old now, and me and him is estranged, and it's been real hard on me. I took it personal because I wasn't there for him like I should have been, and this topic right here kind of touched home for me, and I'm just listening and gathering my thoughts. And like what you said is, I have to listen to him, man, and I have to be able to take what he's feeling because I created that problem and I'm willing to do it, but I have to do it on his own time when he's ready, and I've just been patient and waiting, and I have to deal with that because he was my responsibility and I let him down in a big way. And, I'm trying to work with that, man, so yeah, I really appreciate hearing this today.
What's your name?
Chester.
And your last name? Well,
Chester Hill. Chester Hill, Hill.
Okay, wonderful. Because I just want to make sure you got credit for being here as well.
Okay, thank you.
And Miss Di, your comment?
My comment is, like I said, for first thing to forgiving yourself is to acknowledging for yourself the part you played, the position you played, the role you played, and you were there. It wasn't everybody else because you were there. If you acknowledge that part first, accept all those pieces, then you can heal for yourself. It's not for nobody else to be better, it's for myself to be better. Because I don't want to run around here blaming the whole world. Like I could blame my brother forever and a day because I know he's a bitch liar. But I know that already. Yeah. So why could I be blaming him when I know he's going to call my phone with some hogwash? And I know he's going to be lying about it. I know this already. So I didn't forgive him for all the lies he didn't told me. And I didn't forgive myself for participating in the lies he had me believing that it was true. And it's okay. Just acknowledge it for yourself. Put the pieces together for you, and you can move forward from there.
Thank you.
All right, Di.
Okay.
Something good today, huh?
I'm not about to play with you, Terrell.
A great session. A great topic.
I can barely hear you, T. Can you speak up a little better? A little louder?
oh, 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 oh.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Q-tips.
Clean them out, player. Clean them out, player.
I think, I agree with everything, that's been said, coming from, the multiple perspectives. But I think that you all have to understand that you all have to always work on yourself. And working on yourself helps you get to that place. Chester, while you're waiting on your son to come around, you continue to work on yourself.
Yeah, work
Because,
on you.
God willing that you will get that day to happen, because I am the never say never kid. Never say never. It could be, taking too long for you, but you stay on your course and stay on your path to continue to get yourself together, because what you know today is not what you knew when you first went to jail. So now you have an opportunity to do better, but you have to first do better by yourself. Because when you, like we're all saying, we all treat ourselves so horribly, self-care, self-doubt, all of those things. When you begin to treat yourself better and you see yourself better, you can begin to treat everybody else better. So you continue on the path that you're on, and hopefully your son will get on that path. You weren't here for the times where I talked about, my mom going in that forest and me telling her, all right, bye. At some point in time, I got in that forest too, but I got on that forest on my own path, and we both walked out of that forest together.
Awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Final comments from you?
Just take your time, bro. Just take your time. Because I have 40, my oldest son is 41. And it took him a year to talk to me about what he felt about being abandoned. I raised him from birth, and it took him a long time to come to me to talk to me. So don't let your mind get stuck on that Rolodex right there. Keep working on you, Mr. Hill, and keep working on the fact that he's gonna come. And when he comes, you just be ready.
Be ready. Be
and
ready.
let him know that everything that he has, everything he says to you is his valid, that his feelings have valid. They have validity. That they're his feelings, his thoughts, his perception. And you have to see what his world looked like without you. I did, like I said, 26 and a half. So I understand. Just take your time, and it's not going to be just one time. It's going to take time, because me and my son, we're still building. And he has 3 children that I'm building with my grandchildren. And I allow them to speak also, because I miss some of their birthdays also. So everybody has a piece of the pie that they're going to give you. Just be ready to take it on. And I know you can do it, because you already worked on you a long time ago, or you wouldn't be out here with us.
Thank you.
Guaranteed.
Awesome.
Yes, indeed.
Darling, any comments from you, my dear?
No.
Why?
I really love this space.
I need to move so they can hear you.
Yeah.
No.
I really love this space.
Move it.
Oh, because I feel like I'm.
No, but they can't hear you if I'm.
Okay, I just really appreciate this space, and then I appreciate Tony, because she talks from a child perspective, and it just helps me. It teaches me how to treat my son, because he's home now, and so I think we're on a better page, because I yell right back. I never embraced all that stuff. I was hitting me right back, because I was like, you can't, you're not, because I was thinking
defensive.
Yeah, I was very defensive, and I was not.
You thinking about what you went through.
And the disrespect. How you gonna disrespect me before I tell you? It was all that. So we was both
bumping heads.
Yeah, and it wasn't good. So this time around, it's much better.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay,
and you, my dear.
I would like to revisit this subject, because I had hurricane in my tongue and had to go to the restroom, and I don't care. Yes, I said it, because I don't.
Okay, she did. I love her.
I missed
I
it.
love her.
I'd like to say in Chester. Chester?
Yes, ma'am. I'm right here.
Okay, listen, what you're saying about the trouble. When you go to talk to your son, you don't look at it as trouble. It's the trauma that they went through, and they need to express the trauma. And then you're gonna have to let him know what happened to you to cause the trauma for you to end up in prison in the first place. And that's what, and you have to go into it willing, not like, and she my friend, but she got her own stuff with her, and you deal with what you deal with the way you dealing with yourself, right? So
Ma'am.
and it ain't that I take ownership, because I didn't take no ownership the reason I went to prison, but I went when he was 4, came home when he was 21. But the one I got the issue with, where I got the problem, is the little boy I got when he's 29 days old. He's 37. I've never forgiven myself for him, and the fact that they don't let me see him. And that's where I got that unforgiveness at. And that's what I want to talk about. So I hope we go back to this. Thank you.
Absolutely. So
Thank you.
I just want to, I really want to thank all of you all, as I always feel in these sessions, the willingness to be vulnerable for you guys, and for you to express hurt, trauma, and all of those things is huge. And I'm just grateful that we had this opportunity. And I want to encourage anybody listening.
Oh, my
Please.
friend crying.
Yes, they over here snotting and stuff, and I'm not playing. I'm not going there. Get away from me. I'm not doing with y'all today. I'm not. I have on mascara, and it's going right down my face, and I ain't playing.
I love my people. I love y'all.
Didn't Tony talk already?
Okay, yes, she will. And that's the thing.
Did Tony talk already?
Y'all check us out. Check us out on YouTube.
Can I finish? Can I get my last?
Hunter,
I can't get my last point of view.
I thought that's what you did. You went first.
20 minutes ago.
You went first, baby. But go ahead if you got something to say.
I didn't go first.
Oh my God, he always got to be special.
Yes, baby, you did. Okay,
all right. Well,
now you acting like Pike. Okay, now you go Pike ain't here, so you want to act like him. Now you taking it. They don't ever let me have nothing to say. When am I? Okay, look. Okay. Where your check at? You gotta ask me a check.
Tony took everybody's time talking for everybody.
Like impersonation, you gotta ask me a check. Okay. Gotta have his money. What, darling? What did you want to say? He didn't go silent.
Yes, he did. Now you can't talk. Come on, man.
Oh no. But okay, well let me just say this. I mean, just take it one day at a time. Brother Hill, I mean, it's gonna come. You know what I'm saying? He probably trying to figure out how to come at you too. So just be prepared. Just keep an open mind. Be humble, and just be receptive. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And you got grandkids by him. He got children.
No, he don't have any kids right now.
Okay, so he gonna see that father side of you when he have a kid, and you go over there as grandpa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so, it's gonna happen though, man. Just stay working at it. Be patient. Don't force anything. Just allow it to come.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Now,
yes.
I'm going to say again, thank you all. I'm so grateful.
Always gotta say so.
I'm glad I went over there. I probably got whooped on over there. I got jumped on.
But you're used to it. You used to it. Cut it out. Knock it off. You used to it. Because you're always doing something and need a whooping.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we are grateful here at Free to Heal for having all of you guys to join us. We're grateful that you guys are willing to share, because somebody is going to learn. All of your testimonies will become a survival guide for somebody else who's going through the same thing. And so I want you guys to be proud of yourselves. I want you to honor yourselves for being able to share and being open enough. And I just say, check us out on all of the social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, all of them things. Check us out. Tell us topics that you would love for us to discuss. And we just can't thank you enough for being here. And we hope that somebody listening got as much out of it as we did. And tonight, one more high five to you, Sister Diane, for a great topic. And we will make sure we will come back to it. We will come back to it again so that we can have that conversation. And we love you all. And this has been another great session of Free to Heal. Bye, y'all.
Share
See y'all
it,
next week.
Share it.